So I've lived in the UK now for over 20 years, which is half of my life. One of the things that I definitely think about a lot is the sense of belonging and the fact that no matter how long you've lived outside of your home country and how long you've lived and are kind of ingrained into the culture and the life of the country you live in now, you kind of belong neither here nor there. You feel like you no longer belong to your home country because so much in you has changed. You've lost almost every possible tie apart from perhaps immediate family, but it is true that you always are in this kind of space in between, neither here nor there. The other thing that is quite interesting is the concept of time. And I think of it almost like the part in the Interstellar movie where Matthew McConaughey goes off to another planet, and by the time he comes back to space station, decades have passed, even though for him it was only like an hour or something. And every time I visit Poland and every time I see my parents or I used to see my grandparents, it was like this reminder for me of how much time actually had passed. Even though I didn't feel it, I didn't think of it, but the reminder was definitely in the faces of my family, where every time I saw them, they seemed just a little bit older or even quite significantly older. I feel like I'm Matthew McConaughey coming back just after an hour, while actually quite a lot of time has passed and I completely missed it. And then for some of us, obviously not all, but in my case, every time I do go back, it's like a reminder of the life that I definitely don't want. And no matter what I do, how long I've lived here, how my life is going, however many anchors I have established, there is always this fear that never leaves me. And the fear is that something somehow will one day force me to coming back. It's almost like there are these invisible ties that are attached to you, and they may be invisible and they may be stretching really, really far, and you may not even fully be aware of them, but they're always there. And perhaps it becomes certain motivator and a driver in my life. And then on the other hand, you will be much more patriotic outside of your home country than you ever were living in your home country. I can't explain it, but there is this sentiment and this kind of melancholy whenever you hear anything Polish, or you hear any news about Poland. Like, for example, recently Jesse Eisenberg has been granted like honorary citizenship by the Polish president, and these kind of news kind of always interest me and always make me quite proud. Maybe it's something to do with the fact that you can experience it from the far and from the distance kind of safely, and have this comfort of being able to experience the best thing about your home country, in my case Poland, without experiencing the worst things. It's definitely a very complicated set of feelings, and my personal experience and my personal relationship with Poland is probably much more complicated than most. And then, of course, as a foreigner, inevitably you'll always deal with the stereotype. You may want to fight it, and you may feel like, hey, my path was much more unique than everybody else's. But actually, when you zoom out and you start looking kind of more holistically, when you start comparing yourself to others, you realize how similar your experiences and your path is, and that you do fit into unfortunately, and there is nothing you can do about it. And that part is something that will always linger a little bit, because we all want to feel special and we want to be these unique individuals. In the best of times, we strive for that in the best of times. So I think being part of the certain demographic and being part of perhaps certain minority, it kind of makes it harder. But I don't regret a thing, and I look back with pride. I look forward to what comes next. Tell me your story. Are you also a foreigner living in another country? What's your experiences? How do you feel? Would you ever go back? Let me know in the comments, and see you guys next time.